Hey, what's up? Saturday, it's ball day, baby. Not really. I don't know what national day it is. But another great weekend. Hit my 1 year anniversary tomorrow. We're gonna celebrate it today quite a bit. My girl's excited. So that's cool. She doesn't like to be in the background of the videos. But we're gonna do a baldy video because I don't care. It's been a decade now. I'm over it. Do need to shave though. But yeah. Wanted to talk about what I would do differently. Maybe you can take some knowledge, relate to this a bit. It's never too late, regardless of age, 25 to 35, 35 to 40, 45 to 55. I mean, there's some disparity here. If you're like 80, 90 and just finally getting your stuff together, it may be a little too late. I mean, still, it's still better than never getting your stuff together. But I mean, like, yeah, you don't want to be that guy. But even in your 50s, 40s and 50s, if you get it together, you'll look back when you're more elderly and you'll be thankful you did. I am very, very grateful that I did this in my 30s. I feel like I'm still quite young. Every decade I look back and I'm like, I really wasn't that old. And I'll probably feel that way till I'm over like 60. 60's when I'm going to feel like, okay, I'm getting elderly, right? I refuse to be like, oh, I'm just so old. I mean, yeah, you feel it every year. Your body, you're aging, right? But if I could go back, and let me be clear, I'm very thankful I'm doing this in my 30s. And if you're in your 40s or 50s, making the change then is still better, because then when you're in your 50s or 60s, you'll look back and you'll be grateful you got it together, right? But in a perfect world, I've talked about this in the past, 23 to 25 is the age I wish I would have just grew up and got rid of the drinking. I had a very toxic relationship in my late 20s. I wish I would have just cut that out earlier on and didn't waste so much time. But the catch-22 to this, if I would have done things differently back then, maybe I wouldn't be the person I am today. My character could be different. I might not have the strengths I have, right? So never regret the time you spent in a deficit or in a negative state, right? Because it could build you. Someone who's finally getting their stuff together in their 40s could be more resilient than me, right? You got to look at the positives too. Yeah, there's pros and cons to everything. But yeah, in a perfect world, 23 to 25, it would have saved me a decade of constantly trying to battle sobriety and drinking and not drinking and spending all the money, thousands of dollars I could have back. A lot of wasted time I could have back. And people in their young 20s and their low 20s, I always tell them, like, get it out of your system by your mid-20s, and they may or may not do that. Some people just don't. They get out of partying, quite quick. They have families earlier on. Some people don't. There's some old people still drinking themselves into oblivion, and it's wild to me. I've always had the conscience to get sober. It was always in the back of my head. Like, I knew it wasn't worth it. Some people don't have that going for them, they don't care. They'll continue drinking until they're in the grave, or they're old, or it's, a bit too late. I see my cat in the camera. He's adorable. So is my girlfriend. But yeah, by 23, 25, quit drinking, really push. I always worked, but really push the overtime envelope and really stack up even more money. Like, I do great financially, but I would just take it that extra mile when I was young, I could have so much more money. And the same goes for now. That's why I don't mind doing the 50 hours. I don't want to. I really value my free time too. Don't get me wrong. I work to live. I don't live to work. I have 3 years in the oil field. I've worked 25 hours straight. I've worked 80-hour work weeks. I've been there. I've done it. But I'm glad I'm putting in the time now. Better late than never. But I wish I would have done it in my 20s more. I always worked overtime. I just wish I would have taken it the extra mile. I wish I would have gotten to collecting a decade ago. I really have a passion for it, and the nostalgia drug, I love it. And I don't care if the value of my stuff goes up or down, honestly. I mean, I want it to go up, but I don't care. I've seen some of my stuff go down in value. It doesn't faze me. There's a hindrance. There's a little tidbit of like, oh man, that sucks. You don't want to lose money. But I've seen things go up too. I spent 100 on an item. It's worth 300 now. I've spent 30 on a car that's worth 7 now. You know what I mean? Like, it evens out more so. Long term, who knows? But I wish I would have done more of that. I wish I would have learned investing and day trading, stocks and crypto younger. I wish I would have paid more attention to the crypto markets earlier on. But you don't know until it blows up, right? Like if Bitcoin never would have went anywhere, it wouldn't be crypto. And I apologize, my AC's kicking on. I should turn it off. There's no point. Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. But yeah, investing, my credit score in my young 20s, I would have focused more on that. I have a perfect credit score now, but I wish I would have done that earlier on. It would have saved me money on my car. It helps you overall with lower interest rates, 0% for 2 years. You can save a lot of money with a good credit score, honestly. And you can have access to a lot more funds. Now, don't be irresponsible with them. I'll never, ever run my credit lines up. I always use them and pay them off, when the statement's available. Always. For 5+ years I've been doing it. And thanks to my mom, she got me to go hard into my credit score. I just didn't care about it because I was so against debt, and I never had any debt. I always paid off any medical bills with cash, everything. And it wasn't cheap, medical is terrible cost-wise. But even with insurance, it can be pricey. I'm not saying all insurance is, but yeah, credit score. I made a video on it. Open 2 credit lines, a secured card, pay it off. You'll get the money back. And just use it every month for a year. Finance a car. My car is the first debt I've taken on. And yeah, it was a good chunk of debt. And I was at a deficit for a bit, but I'm way past that now, which is great. And I'm ecstatic to have it paid off in the next year and a half. I could pay it off now, but the interest is already like out of the way. So I'm just going to let it ride to keep my credit score up. And then, man, not having that loan payment every month, I'm already doing great. I don't know. I'm way out of any like deficit debt, right? There was a time when I wasn't, and that didn't feel good. Looking back years ago, it's like, wow, I mean, I had to do it. I needed transportation. It's a good car. It's holding value, but who knows? It could be worth 40% less than what I paid by the time it's paid off, which isn't a big deal because it's still like an asset I can use to trade in or sell. But yeah, my girlfriend's getting my cat high.
He was gonna get it out.
Catnip, man. He completely gave up tuna, and now he's obsessed with catnip. This cat would always be out by the refrigerator wanting tuna. He still does, but it's like he cares more about catnip. It's like he went from, a Class C drug to a Class A drug. He loves that stuff, like all cats do, right? And what else does it have in it? Silver vines in it too. But yeah.
Supposed to make it intense.
Video's already almost 10 minutes. But yeah, I would credit score, work harder. I mean, enjoy your free time. Money's not everything. But I would have put in more time with work. I would have collected. more, because who knows, the value of stuff today could be exponentially greater in 5, 10, 20 years now. And it's something for me to like spend my money on. There was a time when I just hoarded my money and I'd drink and party and I just didn't really buy anything besides like computers. But like it's nice to like build a collection up, old vintage stuff and retro games. I just enjoy it. That's what matters. But yeah, physical fitness. I never would have let myself get into a depressive state and gain all the weight I have. I've been up and down with weight so much in my life. And the last time I almost hit 300, and it'll never happen again. I'm still below 200. And I love doing low carb and the gym. It's like a big part of my life, and I won't let that go. But yeah, and there was a time I was 165 and fit too before I went up to 300. So it's craziness to me that my weight fluctuated that much. But yeah, get it out of your system early, and if you can grind from 25 on, you can outdo me easily. And I won't be offended. I want to see younger people outdo me, but I'm seeing a lot of people in their young to mid to late 20s. They don't have anything. They're not working. They're not investing. They don't have anything of value. And it makes me sad, because if they're doing this into their 30s and 40s, they're not going to set themselves up. I want to see people outdo me, and that'll inspire me to do more. I'm older as well. I didn't get my crap together. You know, I always worked. I always had a savings, besides when I went through some tough turmoil years ago. But some people, like, I have friends online that are like, oh, I don't have any money to buy a $35 game. They don't have kids. How are you in your 20s and you don't have $35? To me, that's craziness. If you have kids, I completely get that. That's a whole other level of responsibility. But if you can't afford $50, $100 on the spur of the moment, especially when you're living with mom and dad, which people do, they don't have bills and they're still broke. They could be working and saving all of that money. If I didn't have groceries and bills and utilities every month, my car payment, I would have well over 6 figures saved easily. But I also pride myself on supporting myself. I don't know how people can be, you know, I get it. People go through tough times. I don't understand how people can be in their 20s or 30s and not have anything to their name and living off of other people. Sorry, that's just the way I look at things. Like, if you have health issues or like mental illness, that makes a difference in that case, right? But there are a lot of people able to work and they don't, and it's whatever. I'm not going to be that person. I've been clocking 50-hour work weeks for years on end, and that's why I have what I have. And I'm not rich by any means, but I'm comfortable, but I put in the time for it, right? But I'm not trying to downgrade anybody, but there are some people that should work. And I encounter people that it triggers me when they don't have bills, they don't work, but yet they're like, oh, I don't have any money to buy $30, $70 item. It's like, wow. I could care less about $500. Like, 500, if you hold 500 up to me, it's not going to faze me. You know what I'm saying? Like, 1,000, like 50K, 100K, that's where I'm like, yeah, that's baller. You know what I mean? Here I'm ranting, and I'm not trying to be judgmental. People have reasons, but there are people that are just lazy through and through, and I'll never change my judgment on that. If you're lazy, I'm not gonna give you a pass. I've been there with depression and stuff, and I got out of it. But yeah, this is turning into a rant, and I don't want that. But put in the time. If you make $500 a week, it's $2,000 a month. 1 year of work, you're up 24 grand. I mean, you know, you got food expenses. If you're living with mom and dad not paying anything, you could stack 10, 15 G's easily. Most people don't have the privilege to do that because they have bills that are eating them alive. They have debt eating them alive every month. So if you don't have any bills right now, now's the time you should strike while the iron's hot. I'm not saying you're a loser for like not having bills. I mean, I don't agree with people sponging off of their parents when they're adults, but you should be working and saving that money. You have it made if you don't have bills. How are you going to survive when you have rent, heat, utilities, water, sewage, car payment, food, groceries every month are $200 to $500, depending on how much you eat? Most of these people will never survive on their own. They're going to be codependent. And there's nothing wrong with that. My girl and I split rent. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing wrong with that. And if you're married, splitting rent. Now, if you're funding a whole household, props to you, dude. Because I've always had like a roommate, or, you know, I've always tried to like ease my financial liability per month, which to me is smart. It's a smart move. But some people like to carry the house, and yeah, I respect that too. I'm not trying to go off on too much of a tangent here. I'm not trying to judge people, but laziness, I don't vibe with it. I was there, and you know, any money I got from family during hard times, it was all paid back. I never lived off of anybody. I never will. But yeah, I get on these tangents and then I work myself up, and I don't mean to come off brash. I know some people on here like to type and boo boo boo, you're so mad. Boo, 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 boo. I don't care. It's whatever. I just have a strong stance on laziness and stupidity, and there's a lot of it in this country and around the world. But yeah, get it together earlier on, you know. Yeah, I'm just gonna end the video there.